Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in today's video, we are going to be talking about dated decor and furniture pieces that you should not get rid of. These are those items that are not going to be on any top 10 trendy items of the moment list. But that's okay, because they're beautiful and gorgeous, and I think you should keep them if you have them in your home, because so often we tend to just like get sucked into the latest trends instead of thinking, what do I actually have? And maybe these are beautiful and gorgeous and timeless, and we should keep them. Now, I will say, if some of these items don't fit in your style or they don't physically fit in your space anymore. So example, let's say you have like something that is just too big for your space now. I would encourage, if it doesn't fit into your space or you just don't like it or doesn't fit into your style, even if it's on this list, you may want to gift it or sell it to somebody else so that they can love and enjoy it, because these items are not garbage. These items should not be thrown in the trash. They should be treated with love and respect. And if you don't have them, that's okay. You can pass them on to somebody else. Let's get to the list. Okay, first up on my list is going to be solid wood furniture. This is pretty much honestly any of those case goods. This is going to be media consoles, bar cabinets, TV stands. This could be an old armoire. This could be, whatever, you kind of maybe have. It could be passed down to you. It could be something that you thrifted, something you've maybe just had in your house for like 40 years. These are solid wood pieces. These are quality pieces that honestly are still just as gorgeous today as they were then. Vintage, mixing, traditional, mixing styles is honestly so popular right now, and for good reason, because people are aware that furniture is crazy expensive. During the pandemic was really difficult to find, and honestly, people are kind of looking for quality, and good thing, rejecting some of the unsustainable sort of fast decor trends that we have seen in the past, and looking for just quality pieces that were handmade to built to last, right? They don't make them like they used to. Well, some of those older pieces that are vintage pieces now are really gorgeous. And if you have them, keep them around. If you inherited one, then keep it. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, if it doesn't fit your style, then, you might have to pay it forward and give it to somebody else or sell it to someone on Facebook Marketplace that is going to love and enjoy it in the future. I would encourage that some of these pieces may be a little bit knocked around a little bit, and you're on YouTube. You're on one of the best resources on the planet for how to figure out how to lovingly restore some of these pieces. Now, let's talk about painting old furniture for a quick hot second. Am I not saying never do it? Maybe I am. Okay, if you do it, and that's fine, if you've got your own chalk paint and you're gonna sit there and paint that old wood armoire from whatever, 1960, or whatever it is, I don't know. If you're painting that some, soft blue, and you're going to turn it into some sort of distressed, farmhousey, vintagey looking sort of piece, and you're gonna paint it so that it fits in your color. I get what you're doing, because you're trying to modernize it a little bit. Maybe it's not quite fitting, the wood tones aren't matching the rest of your space, and you're trying to move it into your color palette, and that's what you're trying to do. Listen, it's your piece, you can do what you want. However, just know that there's gonna be 1,000 people in the comment section that are gonna tell you, please don't paint old solid wood furniture. It's beautiful, leave it for somebody else. I personally don't love painting old furniture. I think it is beautiful and gorgeous, especially the solid wood stuff. If you're gonna buy some like one from 15 years ago from, that you bought at a big box store and you want to paint over it, like that's cool. But if you found something that is solid wood that is really old and vintage and lovely, consider just keeping it and restoring it, but to its real wood, because wood is a gorgeous, timeless, beautiful material. You have heard me say that. Wood and stone, honestly, they're my go-tos, to be honest. And I would consider not painting it. But if you must, because we want to make it work for you, I understand it, but I'm also saying don't do it. Okay, next up on my list is gonna be any hardwood floors. Okay, so maybe you have like chevron flooring, you have herringbone flooring, or you have some sort of different parquet inlay pattern, or just, hardwood flooring in general, right? If you just have kind of the traditional patterns, I would encourage you to keep those. Now, I know if you want to talk flooring trends when it comes to hardwood for a second, and we'll get to other alternatives to hardwood in just a moment here. If you have hardwood, the trend has moved to a wider plank, a 5-inch plank, a 7-inch plank. That has been sort of the luxury du jour sort of thing as we've moved forward. So those wider plank floorings are very popular right now for engineered hardwood. They have been for a while. Those are what has been trending in modern homes, okay? So you're seeing these big, thick sort of planks. Now, a lot of the older style flooring, especially real hardwood, like, I have a video on hardwood flooring if you're not familiar, but real hardwood, not engineered hardwood, which is just got a tiny thin kind of wear layer of real hardwood. But when you actually got like a thick, solid hardwood flooring, that often, well, not often, it really isn't going to be a 7-inch plank. It's going to be those thin planks. And that may be less popular of a style than it is, if you want something brand new. But these flooring, it's just so gorgeous. You can wear these. You can also sand these down to make them sort of brand new if they're looking a little bit tired, assuming there's only so many times you can do that. But, check with your flooring expert before you do it. But, all these different patterns, this chevron flooring, this herringbone flooring, it is beautiful, it is timeless, it is gorgeous. If you are lucky enough to have it, if you're lucky enough to rip rip up some old carpet from the 80s and find some gorgeous hardwood flooring underneath, I would encourage you to buff those up and make them your own because they are so gorgeous and fabulous. And if you have it and you're thinking, oh, I don't like it, I want to cover it up because it's looking dated, don't cover it up with like linoleum or vinyl plank or carpet or anything like that. It's just these are beautiful, okay? These are timeless, these are gorgeous. Keep them if you have them. If you're lucky enough to have gorgeous hardwood, do not cover them up. Just basically, you can polish them, make them brand new again, and they are gorgeous and timeless. Don't get rid of them. Please, 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 I'm begging you. Okay, next up is going to be vintage or like vintage Persian rugs. Honestly, any of the rugs are just gorgeous if you find these vintage. Now, again, styles have changed, right? So this video is a lot about really respecting the sort of traditional patterns and material choices that we have seen in the past and recognizing to be them as beautiful as that they are. And yes, we have some new trendy pieces that are in, but this is really all about kind of respecting and restoring some of those older vintage pieces. And I'm gonna have to talk about rugs for a second because there are some beautiful rugs that will last you a very long time. If you buy a quality rug, something, you know, a quality wool rug that has been around for a long time, that is beautiful, you can get them cleaned, and if you take good care of them, they can last you for decades. So yes, if you have some of these vintage rugs, if you come across one, if you get one passed down, you know, don't just throw it out or whatever. If you are going to sell it or gift it, make sure it's to somebody that is actually going to appreciate it because these rugs are really beautiful. Now, I know they typically lean really traditional for people, and I know a lot of the modern styles tend to be a little bit more uniform and a lot less pattern. That's kind of the trend that we've seen moving into more sort of contemporary spaces. So I do understand that it might not fit your current style, in which case, yes, I think it can be fair to sort of sell it to somebody else that is going to appreciate that style. But I would also say for a quick second that if you do have one and you know, mixing it into sort of a contemporary space can be beautiful and stunning. I'll show some examples here of how you can take a very contemporary space, but then you just mix in a rug like that, a vintage rug, and it can really sort of make it feel a little bit more lived in and just make it feel like it's got a little bit more depth and history than just having everything super, super brand new. And I'm a contemporary design guy. Like, look, I'm not always the biggest lover of traditional, but I do know that some of these pieces are so gorgeous that if you can mix them into your style, they can take a space look from really good to really unique, beautiful, and interesting and curated and custom to the person that lives there. And that to me is so much better. And again, that's coming from a person who's not the biggest lover of vintage. Okay, next up on my list is going to be sentimental pieces. This is just a broad category of any sort of decor items, any photos, anything that has been passed down that has sentimental value for you. Again, does it fit your style? Of course, make your space your own. That's what this is all about. But I do think sometimes we can take pieces that do have some sentimental value to people, and I'm not a sentimental guy. Like, honestly, I don't really care. But a lot of people are sentimental and they do have kind of these little pieces. And even I do have some pieces that I am sentimentally attached to that I am not going to get rid of. And even though they may look dated, even though, you know, they may look a little bit like they don't necessarily always fit into your style, again, it's about creating that curated space that really feels like it's applicable for you and it reflects the person that lives there. Sentimental pieces go a long way for doing that. So if it's something that someone made you at some point, if it's a photograph of a trip that you went on, if it's a piece that's been passed down to you, if it's a decor item that you remember where you were when you bought it, whatever the case may be, something you yourself may have made that, you know, might be not necessarily really your style anymore, but it has some sort of sentimental value to you, mix those in. Honestly, it is just a small, simple touch in a space, but it takes it from just looking like it's a showroom or in a magazine, which, you know, it's fine, but it just makes it a little bit more personal. And it just takes it and feels a little bit more, as I said, reflective of the person that's there. So sentimental pieces, even if they're dated, keep them, mix them into your style. Okay, now let's talk about wicker and rattan furniture. So wicker and rattan is definitely something that we have seen trending for a number of years. I would say for sure in the last like 3, 4, 5, especially with kind of boho styles and Scandi styles and whatever were really popular kind of in the late 2010s for sure, and even into the early 2020, what are we in now? Early 2020s, whatever this is. I don't even know the decade anymore. Cool, okay, we've seen rattan and wicker be popular for a while. There are so many vintage old pieces that are out there that if you're lucky enough to get your hands on, hold on to them. Wicker and rattan tends to be a material that kind of goes in and out of style, but to me, it's a natural material that kind of always really looks good. And there's so many pieces that have come from the 70s and then in the 90s. And then now here we are in the, 2021s here, 2020s, again, I don't know the decade anymore. this era. There are so many sort of pieces in the past from decades gone by that you can get some beautiful sort of wicker lamps or side chairs or, you know, whatever the case may be. You can find a lot of these different pieces that have been around for a long time. If you're lucky enough to get your hands on them, even if they're maybe looking a little bit dated because maybe the shape is different than they are kind of now, because history doesn't always repeat, but it does rhyme. So sometimes you see these materials come back in style, but they come back in style in a different way than they did before. That's usually what we see when it comes to materials and colors and stuff going in and out of style. Yes, it might look a little bit different, but that's okay because I still think that that material is a gorgeous, timeless material. And again, kind of ebbs and flows in style, but that's okay because I do think that if you find some of the old pieces, they can look beautiful even today. So definitely hold on to those ones. Yes, you know, they might look a little bit dated sometimes, but that's okay. They're still, to me, always gorgeous. Okay, now we have clawfoot tubs. So these are very popular in traditional spaces, industrial spaces, farmhouse spaces for sure. And some of these vintage old clawfoot tubs, at least for sure if they're in good shape, definitely pieces that you can hold on to. Yes, they can also be potentially restored depending on sort of the state and condition or whatever the case may be. Obviously your mileage may vary there, but I would say that these clawfoot tubs are still, in my opinion, gorgeous and timeless. We tend to see tubs kind of go from built-in to freestanding to built-in to freestanding for a while. They tend to kind of go in back and forth, back and forth. Some of the beautiful styles that I've seen right now tend to be a little bit more on the freestanding style. You're seeing that really, really popular on some of these gorgeous magazine-worthy spaces on social media. That's fine. It'll probably go in the other direction, but who really cares? The point is that if you have a clawfoot tub and it's really gorgeous and beautiful and been around for a really long time and you're like, I just don't really know what to do with it anymore because is this really my style? Does this really work? Yes, it might sometimes, those really old pieces might look a little bit dated, but to me, even though they ebb and flow in style, kind of like rattan, I would just hold on to them because they're still beautiful and gorgeous and can make sense in any space really. Doesn't really kind of matter. I think that is something that you can really mix in to different design styles and it can still make sense. So yes, I named a few of those styles that they're really popular or they have been popular in the past, but I think even if you're a contemporary person, or, you know, a mid-century person, even if it doesn't always make a ton of sense, I still think that you can mix this in because they're just like an independent standalone piece in your bathroom and they can still be beautiful and gorgeous, even if they're not necessarily fully your style right now. So they might look a little bit dated sometimes, but I still think they're worth holding on to. Okay, so that's it for me for today, guys. I know some of you really like some of those more traditional styles, so this may be something that comes really natural to you, but I know some of you are maybe a little bit more like me and like more contemporary styles, and I really hope just kind of give you a moment to stop and think about these gorgeous pieces that have come and gone in the past and how they might look dated, but they still have a place in your home today. So hope you all enjoyed this video. I will see you all in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.